And as we've been doing over the last few days, as we go through topics, we'll just tick them off our list. The one we just reviewed here, or not reviewed, we kind of did for the first time, was introduce empty states, right? At this point, right, we introduced empty states, we have an empty view already that we could just reuse in our app. And know that if you have a table view, collection view, they both have background views, yes? Perfect. So we could take that off our list. And let's go back to our app. So in our app here, if I run my app, in saved articles, we all confirm that we have an empty state, correct? Correct? Yes. All right. Before we continue on, let's actually just remove this print statement. I'm back in my save articles did set. Remove line 24. We do not need print statements here anymore. And here, let's make sure that we are saying saved articles. The whole point of our this set is to reload our collection view. So let's make sure we're reloading our collection view here. So make sure you're reloading the collection view, and let's test our app again. Run our app. In my state, I do not have items, so it should still be empty state. I navigate over, as this saying here, it says, hey, go ahead, go tap on your news feed. I tap on my news feed, I click on any article, I save that article, I go back to my saved articles, and I have an item, right? It doesn't have a cell right now, but I have an item. Does everybody confirm that they have an item? Excellent. Now let's go create a cell for that item. Let's create a cell for that item. We'll call it news. We'll call it save article cell. Right below our, we have a cell already somewhere. Mine is running away somewhere. Oh, new cell. I'm right on the thing. Okay, Grandpa is getting there. So let's create a new cell, and it is UI Cocoa Touch class. Next, it's a subclass of UI Collection View Cell. UI Collection View Cell, and we said we'll call it saved article cell. UI collection view cell, great. And we say create. And we are back here. I'll also go ahead and say create custom view. Very similar. I'll just change this to UI collection view cell. And this is the name of my thing. You can make your own snippet too if you want. Call it collection view cell or create collection view cell. Very similar to a view setup. The only difference is here, we'll take out this UI screen main and we'll just say frame. And what does our collection view cell have? We'll have a more button and we'll have an article title. And we'll also have news image. So let's go ahead. So we'll say public, lazy, var, more button is of type UI, not UI. Yeah, it is a UI button. UI button. Let button equal to UI button here, return button. Button dot set image. Set image, what image we're going for here? We'll get some system image. And we'll say it's a normal state. So we have an image, we have a button. Next up, we need some sort of action. Let me stop off on the action first for now. What else? Let me see this real quickly. 1 second. SF symbol, small button, ellipsis circle, ellipsis circle. Okay, so we have our button, great, great, great. Next, we have article title. So article title, is a UI label. Let label equal to UI label, return label. What is the style here? Title 3. Title 2. Let's do title 2. So for the label, we'll say font equal to UI font dot preferred font style, and we'll say title 2 for now. Oh, we could always change this. We'll give it some default text. Article title. Number of lines. That's fine. Just leave the default, whatever that is there. Okay, let's go set up our constraints for it. Private function, set up more button constraints, and function set up article title constraints. So the more button, we'll put it to the top right. So let's go and do that. So we'll say add subview, more button, and more button dot translates auto resizing mask to false. We'll say more button dot top, anchor is constrained to the top. No padding here. I just love doing exactly, huh? So NS layout constraints, activate. And this is top anchor. And then we'll say more button. Trailing is trailing. Constraint to trailing. Great. And we'll give it a size. So more button dot height anchor constant 44 points. And more button width is the same. So more button dot width anchor constraint to the more button dot width okay. So the height and the width are equal, right? And we said 44 points. That's the minimum allowable touch dimension that Apple recommends here. So top anchor is to the top of our cell, and the trailing is aligned with the trailing, and we give it a height and a width, and we make sure to call setup more button constraints. And next, let's go ahead and set up the title.
Sorry, Alex. The width anchor is equal to the width anchor?
The width anchor is not equal to the width anchor. The width anchor is equal to the height. Thank you, sir. Because we set up the height first, and then the width is equal to the height. Thank you. Next, we have our article constraints. We will say my article title, add subview, article title, very good. And article title translates auto resizing mask to false. NS layout constraint that activate. Probably make this smaller. We'll see how it turns out. Okay. We'll start off by saying article title dot leading anchor constraint to the leading of my super view. I'll also say article title dot trailing will be constrained to my trailing anchor. I'll say article title dot top is constrained to the more button bottom. So I have the top, it knows where it is. We have the lead-in, we have the trailing, and then lastly we'll say bottom. So article dot bottom anchor constrained to bottom of the cell. And again, there's no safe area layout guide here on our cell. And make sure to call your setup article title constraints in your common init.
I think it's ellipsis dot circle.
Oh, dot circle. What did I put?
Okay.
Oh, okay, it's a dot, sorry. It's always dots if there's more names there. So update that to a dot. Oh, did you run yours and you see it wasn't showing up? Yeah. Does it show up now? Okay, cool. So when we finish type, make sure we update our system name to say ellipsis dot circle, not dash circle there. That was an error. The more button will give us an opportunity to write a custom protocol because we haven't written custom protocols yet. We've used one written for us or by us, right, from the data persistence import we did. But we'll write one here today from the more button. So when I click on that more button, we'll create some sort of delegate there so that the view controller gets information about, hey, I was selected. And this is my article. Okay, cool. Are we still typing our article title constraints? Confirmation of our constraints, anybody run it yet? Did you run it?
Yeah, our title
Is big, it's big?
it's like below the item.
Below the button, right? Should be there. And your more button should be the top, in the top corner. Your more button top should be the top, the trailing should be trailing.
Okay.
Do you have that?
I might. I realized something.
Cool. Is title too big? No. Try to make it longer if you trust it. Still typing? Cool. All right. So we want to make sure that we call in our setup article here. And we also want to make sure that, I think we had a typo somewhere, right? Right here. SF symbols doesn't have no dashes. It's dots here. So ellipsis dot circle, update that as well. And let's go update our saved article collection view. So now I'll go over to our saved article view controller and let's register correctly here. Register, where are you? Register, right here. Let's update our UI collection view cell, right? So tomorrow, just make sure that you register in the right cell. You'll see it, but you won't be able to access it later if you don't register the right cell. So here we created our saved article cell. So make sure to register it. Okay? We register it. Let's keep going down and update our cell for row because we know where we headed later. Let's update it now. So here we'll say guard let cell downcast this to my saved article cell. And here could not downcast to a saved article cell. Okay, so those are the updates we did. We updated our register cell to say we're registering the saved article cell, and we went to our cell for row and we are getting it ready for our configuration on that cell. Because a generic UI collection view cell does not know about an article label, it doesn't know about a news image, it doesn't know about a more button, okay? At this point, we'll run our app again and see if our constraints are where they should be, right? We go to our saved article, right? And we have our button showing up and we have the article title showing up. We could give it a longer title to see how it shows up in our cell here. Go back and see what that looks like. Okay, so here we probably want to change the number of lines. Everybody? What are we changing the number of lines to? We could say 0. That's a good place to start. Go back to my saved article cell. Saved article cell, because right now it's 1, so it does 1 line. Everybody? Right? It's 1 right now, it just renders on 1 line. Do we see that? So we go back to where we set up our label, and we say label.number of lines, say 0. Run it again. Go back here, right? So this is better. My whole thing shows up, right? And we're using title. What title are we using? Title 1? Title 2? Title 2. Okay, cool. That's fine for now. That's good. Okay, so our cell renders. Next, we need to write a configure cell to set up our cell, right? So we write a configure cell to set up the headline for the cell. Any questions? Anybody not getting the cell showing up? Articles view controller, right? So articles, oh, the register in the cell, okay, very good. In the view did load here, right here. It was UI collection view cell before, and now we're using our custom cell. And then in the cell for row, you wanna go cell for row as well? Cell for row, we said we casting it to the cell. Cell for row. What's happening? Cell for row, and you haven't done the guard here. If it's better just to write it over, you know what I mean? Because you know exactly what you need, as opposed to whatever is easier. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go back to our save article cell and write a configure cell for it. So saved article cell, we'll write a configure right below our last private method here. I'm in the saved article cell. I'm after our last setup constraint. And here I'm creating some configure cell. We could call it for saved article. It's going to be a saved article, and it's type news. What is it? Article? Awesome. Array. Great. Let's just set up the title for now. So we'll just simply say article title dot text equal to saved article dot title. Okay. We'll come back and we'll do more later. But for now, let's just get it working. Oh, we could actually do delete now before we go. Okay. All right. So configure cell. Let's go back to our view controller. In my view, did you see the configure cell, Yulia? Okay. Configure cell here. Cool? Great. Let's go to our view controller again. Save view controller. I'm in cell for row. And here I need to get access to a saved article. So saved article equal to my saved articles. I'm indexing into my array with the row property. So I have a saved article. I simply say cell.configure cell with saved article. I run my app. And at this point, we should now see actual articles that we saved. Okay? We should see actual articles we saved. Let me save the next article. Oh, we cannot change our news yet, right? Huh? No settings, look at that. But that's fine. Data is linked here, save this. Go to saved articles, I have my data. Cool? Yes? Awesome. All right, many places we could go in this application, but let's stick to the script here, and let's see what we have. So if we go to our review section, we still haven't done user default, search, custom delegation, right? So I think let's do custom delegation. That's bigger at this point. We know searching how to do search, and user defaults, we know how to do that as well. But let's go to the custom delegation part of it. All right, so we have 2 items. When the user clicks on the More button, for example, I want to present them with an action sheet. That takes us back to image picker, photo journal, right? Where the app didn't have like a cell doing things like that. But our image picker and our photo journal both had a button on the cell that needed to be interacted with, correct? Great, so let's go there and do that. We'll do it step by step and ask as many questions as you want to. We'll start off with the cell first. We'll go to our new cell, not new cell, saved article cell. Our saved article cell has a More button. When this More button gets pressed, I want to communicate back to my view controller and say, hey, this thing was selected. Yes? To make this even easier for us, we'll keep track of the current item or the current article. So we'll have a private function here, not function, private constant variable, a private variable. We'll call it current article. Current article is of type article. And here to keep track of the current cells article. This would be very useful. Instead of us like getting the cell and doing index path and all that stuff there, the cell knows its article, right? Everybody? Okay. So the cell knows its article here. This is great. Next step, our More button needs some sort of action. So we'll create an action here. Function, private function. We'll create it right here. That's fine. Create an @Objective-C. Anytime you're creating like a selector, automatically know we're having an Objective-C function. So @Objective-C is a private function. May? Yeah. You good? What's okay? Our @Objective-C private function, and we'll say, what are we saying here? More button pressed, very good. And this here is review, right? 100%. But please feel free, ask all the questions. So button or sender is some UI button. And all we're saying here for now is print. The only thing we're doing here is print button was pressed. Again, we're testing, very simple test. Button was pressed for article, current article, dot title. And we need to set our current title. Where are we going to set our current article? Right now, current article as it lies is nil. Where am I going to set that? In the initializer, it doesn't know about the article there.
Oh, in the.
Say it. In the configure cell, right? Say it. Say where you know, tomorrow we have to do the thing, right? So we'll set our current title in the configure cell. Everybody, right? This is the place where we configure each cell. We configure each cell, so here we're capturing the current title for the cell. It works great because it's a reference type, right? So here in our configure cell, we'll set the title, right? So here we'll say current title or current article equals to saved article. Right, so here what are we doing? We're associating the cell with its article. Associating. What's your question? Okay, we'll come back. We're here all day. Okay, so configure cell, make sure to set your article. Other than that, your article will be? And it will? Okay. Stay close to Tiffany here. Somebody's been really hitting the review books there. Okay, yes, so it's going to be nil and it will crash if you try to use it anywhere. All right, great. Let's go test out our, well, we're missing one thing. Yulia, what are we missing here? I'm missing one thing to configure on my button. Matt, how do I set up that button? I'm missing one part of setting up my button. Ian? We have an action, but we need to set the button's action. How do we set that up? Button gets pressed. It needs to communicate to a method. Well, you could do a gesture, but the button has a gesture already, sort of. Yeah. How do we set the method on the button? How do I set a method on the button programmatically? Greg? I want to add the target. So here we want to say button dot add target self. And self refers to what? The cell itself, right? And here the selector, what's the selector here? What is it looking for? It's looking for that method, right? And here we provided a method. It's called more button pressed. And what is the event? What event is it listening to? I'm telling you, stay close to this person right here. But just don't look over her shoulder. Touch up inside.
We can also do this in the view controller.
Yes, but we're using delegation here. We're not doing this in the view controller. We are using delegation. We are not doing it in the view controller. The view is going to signify to the controller something got pressed, and this is the thing that got pressed using custom delegation. Okay? But in the view controller, yes, you could go ahead and say add target, but that breaks up our custom delegation design we're trying to use. Cool? All right. Good. All right, so next step, button target. Please, guys, this is right. We started doing that from unit 2-ish there. We have a button. You want to set an action on it? Add target. right? When the IA is asking us questions about how do you set up a method programmatically on a button add target, right? It takes in arguments. Self is where, or not self, the target is where am I looking for that method? The action, the actual method, and the event touch up inside. Okay, so our target button press, good. Now we could run it and test it. Yes.
In our animation lab, it had like instead of doing like add Objective-C, it was like add ID action.
It still sees it as an Objective-C method.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I was confused why it sees it
Mhm.
as a selector.
It still sees it as a selector because it's still a compiler directive and they're all working with Objective-C runtime.
So ID action is always Objective.
Yes. You see that at Objective-C comes to mind really quickly there. Okay, so let's go to our cell and see if we could communicate with it. So click on our More button, right? So we're seeing things happening. Button was pressed for article in Amazon bookstore. Make sure it's selecting and saying the right article, yes? If I go to my next article, it says button was pressed for article data of all 6.5 million Israeli voters is leaked, which is not good news, right? Cool, we confirm our buttons work, yes? Okay, awesome. Next step, we now want to communicate to the view controller, because right now the view controller doesn't know anything about what item got selected, right? So we'll use a custom delegate protocol to communicate that to the view controller. The view controller in its cell for row will register for the delegate on that cell saying, I want to listen for updates, okay? When the user clicks on the More button, at that point we'll present an action sheet, right? That action sheet will have a delete button or a share button, whatever we want to add to that action sheet, okay? Maybe we want to share an article, maybe we want to delete an article. Whatever we want to do with that article, it will be presented in an action sheet and the user has that option to do what they want to do. Okay, awesome. Any questions so far? We haven't done anything with custom protocols yet. We've only added a button programmatically, and we've added an action programmatically, and we've verified that the action works on the button, and it communicates the correct article, right? There's a lot we've done to set it up, but we haven't done any custom protocol. Everybody with me, right? The custom protocol comes in because now we want to communicate to somebody who is listening, somebody who registered themselves as that delegate. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and set up our custom protocol. We'll start off by saying protocol here. We'll give it a name, saved article cell. It works with only classes, so we say any object here. And the function, we'll call it did select more button. And our function has parameters. Here we'll pass in the cell itself. So saved article cell of type saved article cell. And to keep it even easier, we'll give them the actual article. So we'll say saved article, or just article, is type article. Invalid redeclaration, because this is a delegate. You could name it anything, but delegate here for convention. So this is the step one of our object, creating our object, our custom protocol, right? So here, step one, custom protocol. Copy that. The what? Yes, everything we need, exactly. Minus like submit. It's good. Okay, so good. Where are we gonna create this? We'll create it right here, that's fine. We'll say, actually, just create it at the top. Step two, custom protocol continuation. I'll say weak var delegate type saved article delegate. So step 2 is this delegate property that whoever is listening to needs to say, hey, I am the one listening to it. I said it to myself. Great. Step 1 is done. Step 2 is done. Moving on to step 3. Chelsea, where is step 3? Where are we putting step 3? What are we doing with step 3? Where are we going to set that delegate object? Yes. Other people that think, because somebody might get called upon there. Where's step 3 going to go? You can look at the code. You have the method there. It's fine. Not when the current article is changed necessarily, but when an activity happens. Yeah, when the button is pressed, right? So when in the more button press, that's where we put it. Everybody sees that? Any questions about that? Benito, Sharon, Mel? Questions about number 3? Tanya? Questions? Yes, sir.
What did you make the delegate? Where's the, is it going to?
Say that again.
Why did you make the delegate?
Why did I make the delegate weak? Because we want to break a strong reference cycle. If we say var here, what does this make the delegate? A strong reference. So now the cell has a strong reference to the view controller. The view controller created the cell. It has a strong reference to the cell. And what happens? Cool? So this is why we even started by saying it has to be a class, right? Because a struct, you cannot have that on it, and you can, right? So this is where we say it has to be a weak to break the strong reference cycle, okay? So those are one of the things you want to check before you submit code to anybody. If I'm creating a delegate, I'm making sure that it's a weak reference, right? Because I need to have a weak reference to the view controller. I cannot have a strong reference to the view controller, okay? Good? Benvenuto? I want to continue before. Is there any other questions about it?
So if it was a struct, then we still have to do regards.
With what?
If we did it, if the article, so.
A struct is a copy. Copies are passing. You won't be able to do a delegate on it.
Oh, yeah,
Okay? Because it's a pass by copy. You need to have a reference object in order for it to have that same reference of that delegate method. Cool? Very good. Cool. All right. So step 2, step 3, we agreed it goes in our button pressed. Yes? Where's button pressed? Button pressed is right here. Button pressed, and here we say delegate. And what is the method called? Did more. We pass self and we pass in current article. And now we could take this out, and this is step 3. So at this point, we're done. We're done with setting up that object as a communicator, right? It's communicating our changes on the cell more button pressed, okay?
So if we didn't have the variable current article, we would have had to.
If we didn't have it, we would have to get the cell like we did in some previous project. I think image picker.
Right.
We had the cell and we did index path
Okay.
on the cell, and then from that we queried the array to find out where that item is.
So it's just better to just.
Yes, we have it right there, easier for the person using it. Cool?
And in the configure cell, we made it equal to whatever the current.
Yes,
cell is.
exactly. And every cell is configured on screen. Right? Very good. Okay, cool. So we did that. Let's now go over to our view controller. Yes.
Why did you make the delegate take in the same article cell?
This guy here? This is convention. I like to do it. It's convention based on Apple's design patterns with delegation. They always pass in the object itself, the object they're observing. Table view, collection view, picker view, call location, all of those there always have the object itself. Because as we saw with image picker, the object was enough for us to get to the article. Cool? But here we're just making it easier, one less of a friction. We're just passing the article itself.
And this works best way because are you necessarily passing the article, or are you just like leaving
Depending on
kind of
where
like
you're
space
using
to
it.
take in the article? Because when we're using this, wouldn't we have it in ours? We would have it where the cell is already, like we already have a cell to put in, we would already have the, saved article cell, like a reference to it or no?
Yes, it's just one easier step. We just say article, delete, or whatever it is, right? Bring back your question if it's still unclear when we go back to the view controller. But now this is the method that the view controller needs to implement.
Right.
It will have the cell, it will have the article. Cool? Good. Cool. All right, let's keep going here. So step 1, 2, 3. Any questions about step 1, 2, or 3? Yes, Chelsea.
What haven't read this as use of unnecessary type saved articles?
We don't have a type save article. We have a type article. Verify that you have.
They can save article delegate 100. I think that's.
Oh, she's talking about here. Is it here? The name of your protocol?
No, it's where I made the weak one.
Where you make the weak for? Here?
Yeah.
Is it save article cell delegate?
Saved articles.
It's save article cell delegate, correct? And double check Chelsea's computer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's now maneuver back to our view controller.
Oh, I know what
Back in our saved article view controller. Okay. Now we have our delegate protocol. It's ready to go. Where are we setting the delegate for that particular cell? I'm in the save article view controller. Where am I setting the delegate on the cell? You're good to go. Cassandra? Did select. This select it only happens when you select a cell, correct? Right. I want to set that delegate when I'm configuring the cell, which is in cell for all. Right? Because this select it will only get set when I select the cell. Then the delegate will get set. That's not what I want. I want as my cells are being rendered on my screen, they're all registered to the delegate. Cool. So where we're gonna do it, we'll do it in cell for row. So let's navigate to cell for row. In our cell for row, right here, we'll say cell.delegate equal to self. And at this point, we have an error because we are not conforming to saved article cell delegate. Everybody? Right? Very similar to when we have our collection view data source, we need to conform to the delegate. So let's go ahead and conform to the delegate. So right at the bottom of my file, I'll say extension on saved article view controller. Go ahead and conform to saved article delegate. It implements one method, did select more button. Okay, before we do anything else again, let's verify that this actually works, right? So here we'll say did select more button, copy the method name, and simply put in article.title. Gonna get my cell, no, it's not there.
Oh, so we don't necessarily have to use the saved article cell,
No,
but it's there.
exactly.
That's why I said it's by convention, it could be there when necessary to use it.
Exactly.
Like with sender is there when necessary.
Exactly. But in the one case you need it, it's right there. Very good. Cell.delegate equals self. Because you need to register the delegate. Right, so that's the place to do it, in the cell for all. So you say cell.delegate equals self. And if you build, it has an error because you need to conform to the saved article cell delegate. Do we still have a print statement in our cell?
In our button.
We could remove it now. Saved article button pressed. No, we removed it. Yeah. Back to my collection view. This is what we have. Julia? So we're simply testing, does my delegate work? So let's go ahead and run it. Run it. Go to saved article, click on the more button, and did select more button, got printed. Right now, my delegate works. My view controller set itself as the delegate object. It could listen for changes when that user selected the more button. Everybody? Anybody not get it to work? Okay, cool. Greg, what is the error? Is there an error per se, or you haven't registered the cell.delegate?
Probably haven't registered the cell.
Okay, make sure we're doing that in the cell for row. Because you did all 3 steps, right?
Can I see that in code?
Yeah, cell for row right here on line 73, not 73, 74. Because if we haven't registered for the delegate, we're not going to get any changes, right? I think we could put in 4 and 5 here then. No. What do we call it? Step what? Step 4. I'm mostly like registering as delegate, maybe. So this will be step 1. This will be step 1. Without step 1, it's not going to work, right? And when we put step 1, then we'll get an error. That forces us to do step 2. Step 2 here. Cool? Step 2. Anybody else still not getting theirs to work? Cassandra?
It's just not printing anything. Like I'm clicking on the button and it's not.
Did it work the first time when we did it in the view? Oh, the first time when we did it in the cell?
Yeah, I was just waiting for everything to get done, but like I thought maybe.
Did you add target on the button? You added target. Is there a breakpoint? Put a breakpoint in your cell class and make sure your function gets called. Because if you're not getting called there, and make sure you're setting the delegate there as well. In the 3rd step. She has a button, not custom delegation, but her button itself is not getting triggered.
Okay.
Anybody else not getting the button to trigger? Mel? Oh, Tanya? Okay, when he's done. Okay, cool. So we have our did select more button getting activated. Let's see. So this activates correctly with the correct title, right? Voters is select, and this one, chances for, okay? So this is good. Next, we need to create an action sheet to present actions for the user. So as they clicked here, we'll create some action. Create an action sheet. Let's just keep this MVP. The only thing we'll do is cancel action and delete action. Cancel action, delete action. Post MVP, you could do sharing.
I put a breakpoint on the Objective-C function and it's not kicking off.
Yeah, just read it.
Yeah,
I start from the beginning. It started something off.
I agree with that.
Oh, you know what it is? You didn't register the right thing. Probably not in the software out. The guard. Would you register it? Put a breakpoint here and make sure you register the right thing.
So the way that she's setting the target on this, on the in terms of the button.
You just go back to the bench. Because the bench target is fine. Okay, cool. So MVP, yeah? MVP. So let
You should go to the more button, just to see like how she's.
article, save article, no,
It's the same
save article
article,
cell,
yeah.
right? Save article cell, the view.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, you're right.
Just redo it.
Let me see the button.
Double check a minute.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here, alert controller. Alert controller is of type UI alert controller. Message is nil. Style is, what style we're going for? Action sheet. Very good. And here we'll say present. And here alert controller. Cool. So our alert controller will have two actions. We'll start off with a cancel action of UI alert action. And this one will take in some string name, cancel, style, cancel, and no handlers, no completion handlers. And next we'll say delete action of type UI alert action. And here we'll say title, and here we'll say delete. Style is, what's the style? Destructive. The user is about to do something destructive. Awesome. And handler?
You could say alert action and.
Very good. Rockstar. Here we'll say alert action, and we'll do some destructive action right here on line 121. Lastly, let's go ahead and add those actions to our alert controller. So alert controller, add action, we'll add in cancel action. Alert controller, we'll add delete action. Before we go further, we'll test first to make sure the action sheet does get presented. And here we have a to do. All right. The item that was selected. I mean, the item we clicked the more button on. Does that answer your question? We'll take a break after we show the action sheet for 5 minutes, and then we'll see what's going on. Okay, run the app, and let's see if our action sheet shows up. Click on any more button here, and like this, right? It shows up. I could cancel. I could delete, nothing happens yet, but our action sheet does get presented. Yes? Okay, so we'll take a break, very short break. We'll come back and we'll complete deletion. And let's see where that's gonna put us. We'll complete deletion. We did custom delegation. Oh, we're doing good. So we'll come back, we'll complete deletion, which is not even on here, but that's part of persistence. I would put down as it. Cool. All right, so we'll take a break, we'll come back, and we'll continue. Thank you.